Alright, so this is going to be a video tutorial on how to do Cube 8. And so if you haven't done Cube 7, this is going to be a little bit tricky because it's kind of similar to Cube 7. But what we're going to do, first of all, is we're going to go in here and we're going to take our Cube 5, which you should already have done. And if you haven't done so already, make it a group. I'm going to take this, use the Move tool, and I'm just going to make a copy of this guy somewhere out here. Now, with that being a group, what I think is a good idea is to go in here and let's change the materials of this so it's a little bit easier to see when we actually use it as a basis. So what I'm going to do is double click on the group to edit it. And then what I'm going to do is come over here to my materials palette, which is this one right here. And I'm just going to choose a material that's sort of obvious for me to see. So maybe this pink, let's say. And I should be able to go in and just individually click on these boards here to color them just something different so it's easier to see. I'll then switch to my selection tool and click out to stop editing it. Okay, now that we have this here, I need to actually pull some sticks from Cube 6 or 7 because the idea is that we're going to recreate Cube 5 but with sticks. So I'm going to come back over here and I have some sticks in Cube 6. And what I want is I want one yellow, one blue, and one white. So I held shift there to get them selected. At the same time, I'm going to start moving them, tap control to make a copy. And I'm just going to move them right here for now so that I have them in proximity to my model. All right, so we're running into a similar issue that we had with Cube 7, if you've done that one, in that the sticks are 1/8 of an inch thick and the boards are only 1/16. So the boards are actually half as thick. So we need to then resolve the issue of like, how do we align these two different types of materials? So what we're going to do is we're going to align them midpoint to midpoint. Okay, so what do I mean by that? Well, let's take this blue one, for instance. And this one is going, let's say, in the x-axis, so it's going left and right. And I'm going to move it, but I need to be conscious of where I'm moving it from. So what I want to do is I want to come in here to like this top midpoint and grab it from here. And I'm going to come over to this edge here. And I know that I have a top edge of this board, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to align it with the midpoint of that board. Okay, so it's perfectly aligned. I do want to make sure that it is going to the very upper limits of our 3-inch volume though. Okay, looks pretty good. Now we're running into an issue here, but I'll resolve that a little bit later. So let's do the same thing with this wall. So I know it's going to be a blue. So I already have a blue one here. Again, I'm going to grab it from the midpoint, start moving it in, tap control, and align it with the midpoint of my board. Okay. All right, those look pretty good. Now, they're obviously too long, but again, we'll fix that in just a second. I'm then going to take my yellow stick here and grab it from the midpoint as well and align it with the midpoint of this board. I'm going to do the same thing for this other side. All right. So I'm going to come over here, grab this midpoint, tap control to make a copy, and align it. So right now it kind of looks like a mess in that I have like these 4 sticks that are all clipping through each other, but we can quickly fix this. So the first way to do this would be to switch to my selection tool, double click on the stick to edit it, switch to push pull with P, and then I can just adjust the length of this. So I'm going to move it to where it's hitting, in this case, the sort of right side of this stick. Okay? I'll switch to my selection tool by hitting the space bar and then clicking out to finish editing it. So I've resolved that issue with the sticks. I need to do the same thing over here. I'll do it with the blue this time. I'm going to double click on it, come to this end, use P for push pull, and align it with this edge here. So those two are resolved. Now I need to resolve this corner. And this is a little bit of a design decision in that I need to figure out like which stick is going to the sort of limits here of this interaction. It doesn't really matter too much, but for me what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the blue one, use push pull, and I'm going to line it up with the sort of back edge here of the yellow. Okay? So by doing that, I've made the choice now that the blue is going all the way to this edge. I then need to sort of cut this yellow one short. And again, I'm going to double click to edit it, use push pull, and line it up here with this edge of the stick. So now you can see that we've resolved all of those. And if I just temporarily delete this pink cube 5, you can see that I've fixed all of these joints, so to speak, here in this model. So I'm going to undo that with Control-Z. And next what I need to do, I'm not going to worry about the white one just yet, because I think the white one's going to be in between these sticks on the top and the sticks that I will place on the bottom. So to do that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to select all of these sticks that we just placed, and I'm going to copy them by grabbing a point on the bottom here, tapping Control and moving it down. And what I want to do in this situation is I want to lock it in the blue axis, because right now it's kind of going all over. So to do that, I'm going to hit the up arrow on my keyboard, and now it's locked in the blue. And I grab from the bottom, so all I need to do is align that bottom with some point on the bottom of cube 5. Okay. So now I have a top and a bottom, which are identical, which is great. So now what I can do is I can come over here to my white stick and align it. It's already, luckily, the right length, so all I need to do is just line it up with my 2 sticks here. And that one's all fixed. Okay, now there are more edges, more vertical edges than the one that is currently shown with this white stick, so all I'm going to do is just take this stick and copy it around to anywhere where I have a vertical edge. So I'm going to grab from a corner, tap Control, and notice I kind of grabbed a bad corner here. That's okay. I'm just going to move it over here to this one, and it should work. Okay? So just be a little bit conscious of where you're grabbing it from. So in this case, I'm going to grab it from here, tap Control, move to that corner. Good. Grab it from here, tap Control. I am going to have one here because there's an edge there. And tap Control one more time and line it up there with my edges. Okay. Now this looks pretty good, although I am missing 2 verticals as well because I really have a vertical edge here. So again, I'm going to take this, tap Control, be aware of where you're grabbing it from, and I'm going to move it right there to that corner. So you should have a little bit of the white stick showing on sort of all sides here. Okay, just need one more here. So I'm going to use the same stick since it's already selected. Tap Control and move it right there. Okay, so we're looking pretty good. So I'm going to delete this again just to show you kind of what's going on here. I have my top edges defined with my blue and yellow sticks, my bottom edges defined, and then I have all of my verticals defined. So we're looking pretty good so far. Now I need to get in the 4 horizontal planes here, 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 and here. Right? So we need to define those. And each of those are going to have at least 4 edges. In this case, it's actually going to have a little bit more. So there's no use in reinventing the wheel here, so we already have blue and yellow sticks that we can just sort of use and resize. It makes sense to just use those again. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a yellow one here, and we'll start off by doing just a rectangle here just to keep it easy. And again, let's be conscious of where I grab it from. I'm going to grab from a midpoint here, tap Control to make a copy, and I'm going to align it with the midpoint of that board. Okay. Let's just quickly check. It should be the same length because it's the same length down here, right? So it works there. So what I need to do now is take a blue one, do the same thing. And in this case, I can actually grab from a corner here because I have a corner in my yellow stick and place it there. It's too long. And so I need to resize this thing. And what we've been doing up to this point has been push-pull, but the faster way is actually use the scale tool, which is S on your keyboard, and this allows me to scale an entire group. It's a little bit faster if I grab from the center point. I can just resize it in the same way that I was doing with push-pull, so it might save you a couple clicks there. So you might find that it gets stuck on some things. That's okay. I know there's a point right there, and so I'm just going to align it here with one of these points, and we're good to go. Okay, looking pretty good. Now, if I delete this, though, you'll see that I've only defined 2 edges of this plane. In reality, there's really like an edge here and an edge back there. To make a rectangle, you need at least 4, so I only have 2 out of the 4. So let me undo this. You can see those are the lines that I'm talking about. So all I need to do then is just copy this blue and this yellow. We may have to resize the yellow, but the blue should be the right size. So I'm just going to copy this over to right there. Looks pretty good. It's the right size. Nothing's changed there. And then I'll take the yellow. The same thing. Now this one's going to go in between the white sticks, so you'll see that it's kind of sticking out here. So again, we're just going to use the scale tool to change that, and I'm going to align it with this point right here. So when I delete that, you can see that I have this yellow stick in between the two white sticks. All right, so we're going to just continue to do this for the remaining planes here, okay? And so the way that I'm actually going to do this is I'm just going to get the outer edges, and then I'm going to go ahead and delete my pink model because it's kind of getting in the way. It's making it a little bit tricky to do these interior faces. So, all right, let's get going here. Let's take this yellow, copy it. I'm going to get from a midpoint, move it to a midpoint here. Okay, too small. All right, use the scale tool, align it with this point. Again, you might run into an issue with the scale in that it's a little bit trickier, but that works. Okay. Okay. Grab a blue. Just grab from some point, which I can align with my yellow. Scale tool, pull it here. Right there. Good to go. Okay. So again, I'm just going to do the outer edges here. I'm not going to worry about doing the interiors just yet. Grab from a midpoint here. Copy, line it up there, too long, so here, this edge, a little tricky, let's see, you can always reference a point a little bit further away if you need to. Okay, looking good. Take yellow, let's make sure we grab a good point there. I grabbed a bad point there, so let's grab it here, no big deal, place it there. You know, scale's been giving me a little bit of an issue, so let's just go ahead and do push-pull here. Line it up with that edge. Good to go. All right, so let's get a yellow here. Line it up here. Okay. We'll do push-pull. Pull all the way there. Let's take a blue. Grab from here. Bad spot, that's okay. I'm just gonna sort of move this guy around. There we go. And double click, use push pull, and line it up. Okay, so I have all the outer edges, which is good. So now I don't really need this pink cube 5 anymore. I'm done using that as a reference, so let's just go ahead and delete it. And we can see that we're in pretty good shape. Again, I need some interior edges though to really define these zones of space, so to speak. So we're going to repeat the same process that we did for these two, right? Just for our remaining planes. Okay. Now the good news is, since I've kind of made these ones, in some ways they've saved me a lot of time. So this stick, for instance, would be the same as that stick. Right? It's the same length. So that saves me a little bit of time here. I can go ahead and copy this over. Again, I need to be mindful that I have a stick that's sort of splitting them. Again, this is a design decision where, you know, we could have had the blue one go all the way across, but for what we did, this might be a little bit easier. So let's go ahead and edit this guy, make sure it's not clipping through our sticks there. Looking pretty good. Now I need a yellow one here. So unfortunately, I don't have a yellow one that's the right size. That's okay. No big deal. We'll just copy this one down, and we'll edit it. So double click, use push pull. Push to here, go, click out to stop editing, then make the copy. I am seeing some people making some mistakes where you're editing the group and then copying it inside of it. Try to resist doing that. So I'm just checking here to make sure that I did get that surface, and then I'm going to align it there with that point. All right, so this one is done, right? I have all 4 edges of that complete. Again, the more of these that I do, the easier my life's going to be in the future because I already have some sticks that are the right size now. Okay, so I have one here. Let's take this yellow, copy it down to right there. Looking pretty good. Don't have a blue one yet that's exactly the right size, but I do have one here. It's just a little bit long, so I'll just take it and copy it. In this case, I'll use the scale just to show it. And now we're the right size. Okay, looking pretty good. So that one was way fast. And so now I think I have all sort of the pieces that I need to really complete this last one quickly. Now this one is a little bit unique in that it's sort of an L shape. And so it's going to be a little bit different than the rectangles. But again, since I already have these blues, it's going to be really easy. So I'm just copying them up to this height here. I have this yellow one. Copy it down to that height, right? I have the blue one, I copy it down. Now in this case, I can't reference that point directly, but again, I can use the up arrow to lock it in the blue axis and then just reference the top of that stick there. And then lastly, I just need one of these yellows here. So let's take that guy, make sure you make a copy and place it. Okay, cool. So the base of cube 8 is now done, but this is just sort of part one, I would say, for this model. Really, it's a little bit more than that. It's probably, I don't know, 75% of the model. What we're going to do a little bit differently in this one is that we're going to enclose some of these spaces. So right now, if we count this thing, let me go back to cube 5 here. This will be a little bit easier. If we look at the volumes of space in cube 5, I have like a volume of space here, 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 and here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and then I have 4 underneath them. And so it was critical that in cube 5 that you had these pieces, not like all the way down on the bottom like that, because then we're sort of eliminating a volume. So they need to be offset a little bit so that I have 8 total volumes. But if we look at these volumes, you can see that they're only defined on 3 sides, right? I have like, in this case, I have like the bottom, the back, and then the right, let's say. I haven't defined like the front here, the left, or the top. And so what we're gonna do in cube 8 is we're gonna define 2 of those sort of missing surfaces. So let's go back over here. Again, this is the same space that we just looked at. It's just in stick form. And I'm going to define 2 of the edges. So that could be, again, sort of the left side here plus the front, or it could be the left plus the top, or it could be the top plus the front. I would just say that we need to vary it from space to space so that they look distinct, and I'll show you how to do that. So what we're going to do is we're going to create an enclosure using some sticks here. So for instance, if I want to do like let's do the left and the front, since I already have these 2. I'm just going to take these and start to copy them. And so as I start to copy them up like this, you can see that I'm sort of enclosing this space, right? So that's a quick and sort of messy way to do it. It's a very imprecise way to do it, but it gets the point across in that I'm defining 2 of those surfaces, right? There's a better way to do this and a much faster way to do it, though. So I'm going to go ahead and undo all of those. And this is a little bit more of an advanced technique, but it's definitely a technique you should be aware of, and it's going to be something called an internal array. So let's just do an example over here. I'm going to copy this stick over, just over here. So up to this point, we've been doing arrays, and the way that we've been doing arrays is we've been taking this first one and making a copy, and we're defining, in reality, like the next copy, right? The one that's adjacent to that first item. So I click to place it, and then what we would do is we would type like 4x, and that makes 4 total copies, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4 plus the original, so I have 5. At this point, I could change that to like 6x or 8x or whatever. The point, though, is that all of these sort of arrayed copies are outside of the original one which I placed. Remember that the original one was this one, right? So we're all going sort of outside of that original copy, which is great. That works pretty well. But let me throw you an example here. What if I have like a plane or something like this, and I want to get my copies to be like exactly like ending over here on this edge? So let's say that's the distance I want. I could just kind of guess here at the distance. So I did 10x there. Not quite enough, right? So I need a little bit more. So let's try like 15x. Okay, a little bit too much there. So 14x looks pretty good. But if you look, like I kind of got lucky, honestly, in this case, in that they're like pretty much lined up, but that's rarely the case. So a better way to do this would be to do something called an internal array. So again, what we've been doing to this point is been copying this, doing the next one, and then doing like 14x, right? So in this case, you'll see that it's not perfectly lined up, like they're a little bit off, right? So what we'll do now, though, is we'll take this, instead of doing the next copy, like right here, I'm going to do the furthest copy, right? So this is exactly where I want this array to end. I'll place it right there. And I know that it's exactly where I want it. So now after I've placed that initial copy, I'm going to do something like 10, and instead of X, I'm going to do the /. That / is basically the question mark key on your keyboard. It's also above the 8 key on your number pad. So then when I press enter, it basically divides that distance into the number of copies. So I did 8, or I did 10, sorry. I did 10 / there, so really that means I have 11 items. I could do like 5 / here, and it would change it. I could do 3 / whatever. And it's just dividing that distance to fit those number of copies. It automatically does the math. So you could get kind of crazy here and do like 20 / and like they're really tight to each other, right? So this is the way that we're going to go about creating these enclosures. So again, this is what's called an internal array. So what I'm going to do here is take these two. I'm going to copy them upwards to here, right? So I know exactly that one's in the right spot. And then I'll do like a 4 / and we're done. Pretty fast. And they're all exactly evenly spaced, right? Okay, so I have a space here, right? And then I have a space on the bottom. So what I don't want to do is, again, I don't want to do like the exact same sticks that I did in the space above, because what's going to happen is if I do that, and I do this, and I do, I don't know, 5 /, it's going to look like just one big space, right? There's no like distinction between that top zone and the bottom zone. So we still want to preserve the fact that I have like a space here and a space below it. So the way to do that is just to vary or change the two surfaces that we're using to enclose it. So in this case, again, I did like the left and the front. Maybe this time I'll do like the front and like I'll use a white and a blue, let's say. So I'll do basically the bottom in this case and the left. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take these two, make a copy over here like that, okay? And you'll notice that this blue one's too long. It's okay. I'm just going to go here and just edit the length. The white one is also way too big, right? So I'm just going to take it and push it down to here, right? So where it's just like in the limits of that space. And next what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these two and then just array them. And this may be a little bit confusing in that I'm going to place this one directly on top of the existing sticks. That's just to ensure that the spacing is going to be perfect. So I made that first copy, and I'll do 4 /. Let's make it a little less dense. So let's do 3 / just so there's a little bit more breathing room. And we're good. Now the last thing here is that I do actually have copies here. So I need to go back in and just remember that I have a stick here. And I'm going to click there. I do have a stick there as well, and I'm going to delete them. That way I don't have two objects on top of each other. So yeah, so the idea here is that what we're going to do is we're going to vary the density as well, depending on the scale of the space. So for instance, this is a good example here. This top space is really, really small, right, in terms of its volume, and the space below it is pretty big, relatively speaking. So the smaller the space, the denser the sticks are going to be. That's generally the rule here. And the bigger the space, the less dense they're going to be. So with this one, it's a really small space. Again, I don't want to kind of repeat the same two that I used over here. So I did like blue and yellow. Maybe I won't do blue and yellow here. Maybe I'll do yellow and white since I haven't done that one yet. So I'll take a yellow and a white, copy them over to the end. This white one's way too big. So again, let's just scale this guy up to there. So it's the right size. Copy them on top of the existing structure, and then let's make it pretty dense. So I'll do 6 / in this case. It looks pretty good. So again, the smaller the space, we're going to try and make them a little bit more dense. Okay, so next we have another space down here. So let's do, I already did white and blue there. Let's maybe do yellow and blue for this one. So let's go ahead and take a blue here. This one's actually maybe a little bit better. So I'll take a blue. And I'll copy him to there. It's too long, so let's just push it to there. And then I'll take a yellow. Probably should have used this one to start. Yeah, so I'm just going to take this and push that one in there. Okay, cool. So I got these two. They look pretty good. So again, I'm going to take this, copy it directly on top. Ooh, I already had some there. I don't know why I didn't just copy those. And do 5 /. good to go. Now I do have duplicates because I was kind of an idiot there. And we're good to go. All right, so we can see some variety here at least. So I have a space here, a space there, a space here, and a space there. There's a little bit of overlap between these two, but that's okay. All right, so this space right here is a good thing to look at, in that it's the biggest one. It's the biggest volume. So with the biggest one, we're actually not going to enclose it all. So sounds pretty good, huh? Nothing to worry about there. So let's go down here to this bottom one. We do need to enclose this one. This one's a little bit trickier in that it's an L, so you're going to actually have some variations in the lengths of your sticks. So again, let's choose a direction in which we sort of aren't repeating here. So maybe we'll do white and yellow, let's say. So I'm going to take a yellow and a white, make a copy. In this case, I'm going to lock it in the red so that I can align it perfectly there. This one is too short. This one's too tall. So I'm just kind of showing you two different ways to scale here. Again, you can either use the scale tool or use push-pull. Okay, that looks pretty good. So again, I'm going to take these two, copy them directly on top of this guy. Right? And this one's sort of small, so we'll do 7//, maybe 6. And we're good to go. Now, like I said, because this is an L, you're running into this issue where these ones are too long, right? These three. And so here's a little bit of a trick. These ones, let's go ahead and delete this one. Actually, I don't even need that one. That one's copy. And while we're at it, might as well delete this one. So these two, actually, look, we're running into a weird issue here where we're getting like half a stick. So I'm going to undo that array and be a little bit more conscious of that happening. So that's okay. We're just going to undo. Select these two. Make this copy over there. And let's try 4//. Okay, we're still getting that overlap there. 6, 8. This guy is not wanting to move here. Let's try 3. 3. See if I can get away. Okay, 5. 5's pretty good here. All right, so let's delete this guy again. Delete this one, so we've sort of resolved that issue there. But these two are both clipping through multiple sticks. These ones are good though, right? They're going all the way to the edge there, which is what we want. So this is where scale is going to be really useful. So I'm going to select both of these using Shift, and then I can actually use scale, and I can get both of them at the same time, which is really, really nice. So I'm going to grab from here, align it there, and those are done. No worries. Okay. All right, we only got 2 more spaces to go. So again, let's try and vary the direction that we're doing here. So let's worry about this top one. So I don't want to repeat this, nor do I really want to repeat that one. So let's do yellow and white. Yeah, that's fine. Okay. So I'll take these two. Make a copy. Again, I'm locking it in the red here. This one's too long, so we'll use push-pull. Again, choose whichever way you want to do it. Like I said, you can do scale or push-pull. Careful here. Make sure that you get, when you're using scale, the middle one. Otherwise, you get some weird stuff. So, all right, cool. Take these two, copy it directly on top of this one, and we'll do, it's sort of a small, so maybe 3. That's pretty good. And then don't forget to delete your originals. And so lastly, I think we'll do, let's do blue and yellow, since I already got these ones right here. So I'll take these two. This is going to be pretty easy since they're right there. I don't have to do any resizing here. I'll just do 2// because it's really small. And we're good. So there is a finished Cube 8. So if you have any questions, definitely re-watch this. I think you can change the speed of it as well if you need to. Or ask your neighbor for questions, or you can raise your hand if you've really run into an issue where the video isn't helping you. Raise your hand and I'll come by and help you out.